The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
There goes that man's jock strap. Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports.
There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship.
Green Bay's got it this year.
Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
The In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you by Golf Kicks. Screw your shoes. By Canadips. Rep Sports. By Smooth My Balls. And by Streamer Loot. Check out the In a League of Their Own merch line today. Welcome to the show. Let's see what Austin and Collin are diving into today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 97 of the In a League of Their Own podcast. Kicking us off with today's number 97 sports fact. Going back to the year 1997 and the 1997 Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers defeated the New England Patriots 35-21, earning their third Super Bowl in franchise history and their 12th NFL championship. Desmond Howard was the Super Bowl MVP thanks to his 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Howard was the first and still remains to be the only special teams player to earn Super Bowl MVP. So, shout out to our home state, Green Bay Packers.
Shout out.
Moving over to the NFL. I suppose we could kind of break down last night's game. Cincinnati moves to 3-1 on the year with a game-winning field goal over the Jags. I don't know, what do you take away from that game as far as, I guess, the Jags kind of having back-to-back weeks where they really had a chance to win a game?
I'm going to say Jacksonville got lucky that Cincinnati decided to run the ball basically the whole first half, continuously run the ball when they weren't getting any yards. And then all of a sudden they're just like, okay, let's pass in the second half. And then Joe Burrow throws for over 250 yards, completes 85% of his passes, and they dominate Jacksonville in the second half. So I'm going to say Jacksonville got lucky, basically that they didn't let Joe Burrow air it out the whole game. They had bits and moments of what looked to be pretty good football. I mean, Trevor Lawrence seems that he can potentially live up to being a decent, a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. He led some drives. Same with Burrow. They went back and forth. But at the end of the day, I feel like if Jacksonville was going to win a game, this would have been the one that they should have won, because Urban Meyer's homecoming back to the state of Ohio. I don't know. I just feel like they would have had some sort of energy to help push them past Cincinnati, but didn't work out that way.
Yeah, and with that loss last night, the Jags are now tied with the Lions for the second longest streak in history of 19 straight losses. Kind of looking at that history, it's interesting. The longest streak in history is 29, which was between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Chicago Cardinals. Had 29 losses. Both teams combined that year because of shortages due to World War II for players. So both of those teams combined and basically went on a historically bad stretch of 29 games due to both teams didn't have enough players to play, so they combined for that 1 year. So this kind of shines light on, I mean, it's 2021. The NFL is a multi-billion-dollar organization, and a team now is right there in the ballpark with a team, I mean, almost 100 years ago that had a shortage due to World War II. So it's interesting that with the brain power, the technology, the way the NFL is today, to have a team that is comparable to back then is just kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, it's still I feel like Urban Meyer and them can change it around here. I think that Jacksonville, for all your fans, I feel like hold on to hope, and within the next couple of years, I could see it turning around.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at their schedule, with 10 more losses, so they could break the record this year if they continue along. They play the Titans, Dolphins, which could be a win, Seahawks, which could be a win if they continue their down spiral. They play the Colts, which again, they're 0-3 as well. They play the Jets, the Texans, so they have opportunities to get wins this year against teams who are struggling as much is kind of like they are. So
they blew the game by going for it on 4th and 1 instead of kicking the field goal, making it a 3-possession game, and turning the ball. That's their one play where they could have taken that back. They would have ended up winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, no matter if you're the Jags or you're the best team in the NFL, you have a 14-point lead. You have to find a way to. I mean, look at the Packers last Sunday night. They had a 17-point lead.
Well, that's what I mean. They should have had a 17-point lead.
Yeah. So which going back to it, the Packers having a 17-point lead versus a 14-point lead probably, won them that game, because otherwise, instead of Rodgers needing a field goal to go down, he would have needed a touchdown. So now, if you're the Jags, the Bengals don't go down and kick a game-winning field goal. They kick a game-tying field goal, gets you to overtime, where a coin flip can determine the game. So,
because that bit the Vikings in the ass on week 1 when they played the Bengals. They went for it on 4th, and I think it was 9. When they could have kicked the field goal and made it a 3-possession game, Bengals ended up coming back and winning in overtime. So those simple choices where you can take the for sure points, I feel like you need to take those points. You can't gamble that your team's going to get a stop when you need to get a stop, because you never know. These offenses are so good that each quarterback, doesn't matter how good, how bad we think these quarterbacks are, they're all capable of leading a fucking drive down the field flawlessly and scoring a touchdown. So do you want to gamble against that, or do you want to take the for sure points and make them have to do it twice? I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer, and both of those teams got L's that went for it.
Yeah, especially like you said, like the NFL is such a high-scoring league now. Teams put up 30, 40 points. Last year, going into this year, coming off the highest-scoring year in NFL history, you got to take points when you can get them. I mean, you look at the analytics, and it's like, oh, if we go for it, we bleed the clock, we maybe get a touchdown that puts us in a better spot. But then you look at the other side, if we take 3, we go up 3 possessions, 2 possessions, whatever the situation might be. I don't know. I mean, it's a game of risks, to where we're sitting and talking about, oh, that risk didn't pay off for them, where if they won that game, it's like, oh, when they went for it on 4th down there and kept the drive going, that's what won them the game. So those are the situations where you win or lose the game based off one decision sometimes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams right now that are probably regretting those decisions right now.
Yeah, then going into some injuries kind of on the week and some guys coming back. The Jets get back some firepower as receivers. Jamison Crowder and Denzel Mims will be active Sunday against the Titans. So 2 guys who can, try to get Wilson some more looks other than Corey Davis, but
it's just going to result in more picks.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
I think so. That team is just a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're years from being relevant again. I feel like, from how far they fucked that franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have any help. He doesn't have any help.
No, because they go out and get Mekhi Becton to help with protection, and then he gets out due to injury. Their defense can't get off the field. Their receivers can't get open. I love those videos of that kid who's like a big Jets fan. Like, this is a Jets season in a nutshell. This guy's getting overpowered. This guy's holding. These two offensive
Three guys
linemen are blocking
standing by each other.
themselves, blocking themselves. These two are looking at each other like, what do we do? And you look down the field and all three receivers are tightly covered. And then the tip on the cake is the Jets receiver drops it and it turns into an interception. So it's like the fact that I don't know how old that kid is, 10 years old, maybe younger. The fact that he's dissecting the Jets and like to a T is like accurate. It's like if a 10-year-old can figure out your team, then fucking the NFL can too, like the rest of the NFL. So they really gotta go from the top down and kind of reassess that organization. Obviously, ownership and like the high executives, they're basically their own bosses. So it's going to be their own decision. If they want to decide, yeah, we're kind of running this organization into the ground, we're open to kind of stepping down and taking a different role. It's ultimately up to them to do that. But also at the same time, if they want to continue to make millions and don't give a fuck about how the team does, then they can do that as well. So they're all at the mercy of really the higher ups on that team.
Yeah, and you're only as good as strong as your weakest link.
Exactly. I mean, they got like they're very similar to the Browns in that they get a lot of high like first round, second round talent in the draft for the past how many years. The Browns found a way to turn that organization around. I mean, it helped to Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski stepping in and finally being a coach that all these guys can rally around.
They had Myles Garrett. They buffed up their defense. They traded, got OBJ. Like they made moves to make that team good. They didn't sit and wait around and hope to build their team 10 years from now through the draft.
Yeah.
Like, these teams got to realize when you have a quarterback, you don't know how long it's going to last before an injury, before he turns to shit, whatever the case may be. So you got to capitalize on it now. And more interesting news coming out about the Titans-Jets game this weekend. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones ruled out for the Tennessee Titans. So this game could be a little interesting.
Derrick Henry, 40 to 60 touches.
He's going to have to carry their team.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have him on any fantasy teams, but if I did, he'd be. I mean, again, the Jets, terrible run. I mean, their defense as a whole is terrible, but I don't know. If there's a team that Henry's going to go for 200 plus, it's probably going to be against the Jets this weekend.
Yeah, he could totally do it.
And then the last injury I have to highlight here is Colts guard Quentin Nelson will be out Sunday against the Dolphins, as well as I mean, injuries this isn't a new injury. Again, it's questionable as to if they pushed him back too soon to come back for the season opener, because him and Wentz both had the exact same injury, had the same timetable to come back. They both come back for week 1, and now look, Wentz is dealing with a double sprain, triple sprain now, because apparently he has a high and low sprain on one foot. And then now Quentin Nelson is dealing with an ankle injury as well there, probably related to the injury that he had before the season started. So, I mean, for the Colts, yeah, you're trying to win football games. You want your best players to be out on the field, but at the same time, who knows how long he's going to be out. If it's a high ankle sprain, if it's something that he's going to be dealing with all year. I mean, offensive, defensive linemen are big boys, 300 plus pounds. Having all that weight on a bad ankle while trying to stop another 300 plus pound guy coming at you, that's tough to do. So yeah, kind of interesting where the Colts are at right now. Again, winless on the year and in sight, and not really looking too up for them right now.
Yeah, and then I was just curious. Went back and I looked at the defense statistics. Jets surprisingly only give up 100 yards on the ground a game average, which is pretty good. They're in the top 10 of the league in rushing yards per game. And then you go to the offensive statistics, and the Titans average 159 rushing yards per game. So if they're able to slow him down at all, that could potentially be a game changer. That could, oh man, I might take the Jets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if Henry struggles on the ground, and that's what the Jets are, their whole game plan is going to be this week
Because their
is
defense is not bad.
no,
It's
yeah,
the
on
turnovers
paper,
which have killed their team.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the defense has been out there for a 10-15 play drive. Wilson comes out, throws a pick and 2 passes. Defense is still gassed, has to go back out on the field again. It's those situations that, I mean, you're giving up big plays. Last weekend, shut out 26-0 to the Broncos. Like, yeah, those are tough games to try to try to keep with if again your defense can't get off the field because your offense is struggling way too much. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game by the really first quarter halftime. If Henry can't get anything going, either they're going to have to Titans are going to have to get the pass game going. Otherwise, the Jets might have a couple opportunities to keep that game closer than it probably should be.
Yeah, it could be a close game. Also, at the same time, like you said, if the Jets get hold, you never know if Derrick Henry is going to break out for a big second half like he did against the Seattle Seahawks or rushing for 200 yards. So, guy's a monster. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Jets really kind of contain one guy as kind of their other 2 big targets are going to be out. The Bills, the Texans are facing the Bills in the first time since the 2019 playoffs. And the Bills are going to be without safety Jordan Poyer and left guard John Feliciano are ruled out versus Houston. So those are 2 big losses coming on the Buffalo Bills side of things. Do you think it's possible for Houston to squeak one out?
I mean, I don't know. I like the Houston defense more than I like the Jets defense. So if the Bills are kind of the opposites of Titans. Josh Allen has to get it going through the air, just like the Titans need to get Derrick Henry going on the ground. I don't know. I mean, the Bills, I think they're 17.5 or 17-point favorites this week. I think that's kind of that's a lot. I don't know if I don't think they'll cover that, but I don't know. I don't think the Bills will have to worry about losing, but they're not going to have a runaway win. It's going to be probably a 1-2 possession game. So long as Houston, again, going back to kind of the Panthers game 2 Thursdays ago, they had plenty of opportunities to stay in that game, and then your offense only puts up 9 points on the board when you had opportunities to score countless times, and instead of selling for field goals when you're down 2 possessions, maybe try to go for it. But especially when the Panthers without Christian McCaffrey, that's one of those opportunities where you got to kind of step on their throat and take it to them while they're down, and they just kind of play passive the entire game. So I don't know. I mean, obviously when a team is without top guys, it can hurt them, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be hard to tell, but like I said, I'm not too worried for the Bills.
Yeah, they only give up 252 yards a game compared to the Texans, which give up almost 300 or 400 yards a game for defense. But the offensive statistics, Bills only average about 40 more yards a game, 50 more yards a game than Houston. So all the offenses are pretty much on pace except for the Bears. All the offenses are pretty much right there. Saints obviously are at the bottom 2 because they haven't aired it out for 300 yards a game. Winston's been around 150, I want to say, almost every single game that he's played with a couple touchdowns. So, yeah, that game's going to be a good one.
Yeah. And then the last bit of NFL news I had is that the Super Bowl halftime show was announced yesterday. It will feature Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. So quite the lineup this year. Usually it's a single person or band, maybe 2, but this year they got 5 or no, 3. Yeah, 5. So Kendrick Lamar, I think was he in the Super Bowl halftime show a couple years back?
Yes.
I think 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. he's the only one I could think of that's ever been in one. Otherwise, Mary J. Blige might have featured in one with another person, maybe 8 to 10 years ago. But cool to see Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. Like these are also. This is quite a lineup, and I don't know. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be very, it's gonna be very cool to see. It was interesting to hear Dr. Dre talk about it, how they only have 13 minutes, so they're gonna have to come up with something pretty cool and hammer it home the whole time. So I'm really excited to see that. That should be a great halftime show.
Mm-hmm. Well, 13 minutes allows them each like one or two of their biggest hits to do.
A couple verses of it, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I feel like every year they always up it, like as far as like the choreography and like the lights and all that. To I mean, going back to Gaga coming in like off like a bungee cord, she like came into the stadium when she did it a couple years back, and then last year's the weekend looked like a music video with like the camera following him everywhere and like dodging through like a mirror maze and stuff like that. I don't know. It's always, like I said, it's always cool how they do this every year, and with that many people, it's going to be interesting how they're going to be able to have them all on there without overshadowing one to where it's like, oh yeah, cool, Eminem was there, but he said like 4 words. But yeah, Alfie, had any other NFL news before we go into our picks for the week?
Yeah, I have a couple more things to touch on really fast here. One, Rob Gronkowski and linebacker Jason Pierre-Paul to be game time decisions for Sunday. Early indications both will play. They're not going to miss this game. Second thing was awesome for Justin Tucker, earning a perfect Madden rating in NFL and gets to the 99s across the board for that 66-yard field goal. And then the last thing, Rodgers and Roethlisberger. This is the first time that both of them are playing each other as starting quarterbacks since the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was crazy to see that. And Rodgers was talking about, he's like, it's weird that those two haven't gone head to head more. There's only been a couple times. I think this is going to be like the third or fourth time that they're going head to head in their careers.
This would have been the fourth, but Rodgers missed 2 with broken collarbone.
Oh, okay.
So this is his second time playing against Roethlisberger, where he would have had 4, but both times he was out with broken collarbones.
Oh, okay. But yeah, nonetheless, it's a tale of two, I mean, gunslinger quarterbacks. I got a big arm on them. Obviously, the Steelers are in a different situation than the Packers are this year, but I mean, it's two historical quarterbacks going against each other. So nonetheless, it's going to be a fun game to watch, no matter the outcome. Yeah, then going into our win lock underdog for the week, who do you got getting a win for week 4?
Got the Lions over the Bears.
All right.
Is that an underdog game?
Let me check. I think it might be.
Because if that is, then I'm going to save that for my underdog one.
Yeah, Bears are favored by 3.
Okay, so I'm going to save that one then. Team that's going to win for sure. I'm going to go Broncos over the Ravens. Teddy Two Gloves is going to give it to him.
All right. For my win this week, I got the Bills over the Texans. Yeah. And for the lock this week, so again, essentially a win, but it's a team that is expected to win that we're saying, yeah, they're a lock for the week. Who do you got?
Bucks over the Pats.
All right. I'm taking the Bears over the Packers over the Steelers, 6.5-point favorites. I think it's going to be a 2 or 3 possession game there. And then underdog for the week.
Lions over the Bears.
Lions over the Bears. I'm taking the Vikings over the Browns.
That's the Vikings are underdogs at home.
Yeah, Cleveland's 2-point
Wow.
favorites, so I had to jump on that one. Yeah, Vikings coming off of a big game against Seattle. Again, I was surprised to see that they're underdogs at home, so I had to take that one. Yeah. So you said Broncos, or Broncos. What was your lock?
Bucks.
Broncos, Bucks, and then Lions. All right. Sounds good. And then for our game of the week, one that we're going to be paying attention to along with the rest of the sports world, Sunday Night Football, Mr. Tom Brady and his return to New England against Belichick. Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy game. I can't imagine the emotions that'll be flying from both sides. I know everybody's saying how it's speculative that there's going to be 90 to 95% cheers and only a few boos, but who knows how it's actually going to turn out. I mean, if I was a Patriots fan, I'd be grateful having him come back to your stadium again. Especially knowing the way things turned out to where he was questionably mistreated. He might have still wanted to stay if things were better. Belichick didn't really want to commit to him anymore. Brady still want to play football, so he says I'm out. So it's not one of those situations to where the team wanted him and he's like, no, I'm out. I want to go play somewhere else. So yeah, it's gonna be a really fun game to watch.
I have a feeling he's going to get booed every time he touches the ball. Patriots are still trying to win their division. Tom Brady is an opposing quarterback. Before and after the game, it's going to be all cheers for Tom Brady, but during the game, it's going to be all boos and fuck you, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a greedy game. I mean, looking at the Bucks are favored by 7 on the road, which I think is a good number. I'd favor the Bucks too, but not by a lot because, again, at New England, the Patriots are one of those teams that you can't really ever count out no matter who they're playing. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Tom Brady coming in against rookie Mac Jones. Yeah, looking forward to that one Sunday night.
I just still can't believe that the Vikings are fucking 2.5 point underdogs at home when you get 3.5 for being the home team. So everybody thinks the Browns are going to fucking smack them in the mouth.
I mean, on paper, the Browns are the better team, but is Dalvin Cook going to be back this week?
Still no reports.
Because that could be a huge factor again. But also at the same time, last week, Madison gashed the Seahawks on the ground. I think he went for over 100 yards.
Yeah, he's a good running back. He's gashed the Packers a few times for a couple 100 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll obviously dive into all those games on Monday. Lastly here, wrapping up the NFL, Steelers-Packers, got to give our predictions there. What's your prediction for that game?
35-28. Cheeseheads.
35-28.
Yeah, it's always a fucking close game every time we play them.
Like I said, they're 6.5 point favorites. I don't know, just where the Steelers are at right now. I'm gonna, just for the sake of the Packers, I'm gonna say 45-24 final. Packers are gonna. I'm feeling like,
even with the Steelers getting 5 guys back on D,
they're still 1-2. They haven't played good football all year, aside from their first game against the Bills. That
when they were healthy,
I think it was more of a fluke on the Bills side than it was the Steelers playing good football, in my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, I trust the Packers offense to pop off and get 35 plus points, maybe in the 40s, like I have them here. The 24 on the Steelers side is the Packers playing good defense. If their defense struggles, the Steelers could be in the 30s or 40s as well. So I don't have a distrust in the Packers offense. It's more the Packers defense. Again, this year they haven't really showed a lot as to be trusted with a lead. So that wraps things up then for the NFL this week. Going over into the NBA, one thing I have to mention is that the NBA adds a rule change that will allow coaches to challenge out of bounds rulings in the last 2 minutes of a game. I mean, I think it's a good rule to add, though the last 2 minutes of every NBA game already takes 15 minutes, so this is going to make them take even longer. But nonetheless, there's so many times where there's 2 or 3 guys going for a ball and you can't see whose hand it goes off of, and based on what it's called on the floor, a coach might want a better look at it. So I think it's a good rule to add, but like I said, it's just going to slow down the game that much more, which again takes forever in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, I think this trial of implementing this rule is not gonna pan out, and I think it'll be back out after this year. I feel like this trial is going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I could see it being a lot like the pass interference challenge that the NFL had a couple years ago, to where
well, when you break it down fucking to a thousandth of a frame at a time and see who really touched each other, that takes out the game.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the NBA, I mean, challenging out of bounds, stuff like that, it already gets reviewed anyway.
Yeah,
like when they're not sure, that it automatically gets reviewed anyway. So it's like, I don't understand why you need a coach's challenge for it.
Yeah, I
literally makes zero sense.
If that's for like I don't even know how that would work then. If like the refs look at it, they call it one way.
He stepped out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds way back there, and then they're gonna have to stop it and check that he wasn't even close to stepping out of bounds because there's a fucking ref right there.
Mm-hmm.
Dumb.
It's not like an NFL field where there's a lot of room, that a lot of areas that can be uncovered by. I mean, every inch of that field is covered by a camera in some way. It's just a matter of if the refs have access to it right then and there, they might have to wait for like, oh yeah, we got this guy up in this spot, he's got an angle at the field this way. But I don't know. Like I said, it's going to benefit some teams, but in the end, I feel like it could be like a offensive pass interference thing that the NFL added, to where every time it has like a 5% success rate when when the coach challenges it, because it's either going to stay on the court as to whatever the ref said, or it's not even going to be reviewable because there isn't enough to go off of to change it. So, but yeah, that's all I had for the NBA.
Yeah, I had nothing.
Sounds good. Then going into the MLB here, I'm not going to really be highlighting games today, but rather with the playoffs around the corner, just kind of diving into the way things are looking here. The NL field is set completely with the 5 teams that will be competing. The Braves beating the Phillies last night solidified their division win there. The Brewers are locked as the 2 seed and the Braves are the 3 seed. So those 2 teams will be facing off next Friday, October 8th. Again, the Brewers have home field advantage there. So hopefully they can get things done in the first 2 games there. The Cardinals have the 5 seed locked up and will play either the Giants or the Dodgers pending the remainder of the season. The Giants have a 2-game lead, so with one more win and a Dodgers loss, it would make the Giants the 1 seed, the Dodgers the 4 seed, who would play the Cardinals in that wild card game. And then over in the AL, the wild card race is definitely closer as the Yankees hold a 2-game lead for the first wild card spot. The Red Sox and Mariners are tied for the second, and the Blue Jays sit just 1 game back as well. One more win for the Yankees, and they lock up that 1 spot. But that number 2 spot again being wide open. Who do who do you think is going to end up taking that last spot? Kind of break things down. The Red Sox play the Nationals for their last series here. The Mariners play the Angels, and the Blue Jays play the Orioles. So the Blue Jays are a game back, but they have statistically the easiest team to sweep. Again, the Red Sox and Mariners tied. Red Sox play Nationals, Mariners play Angels.
I'm going to say Blue Jays or Mariners. Sox aren't going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Orioles are the worst team in baseball, so the
Let's
Jays
go
can sweep
Mariners.
them.
Let's go Mariners. I'm going to say Mariners get it. They're 9-1 over their last 10. They're hot right now. Let's go.
Yeah, and oh, never mind. Otani's back. I was gonna say with Otani out from pitching, but they brought him back in. I don't even know if he'd be pitching the series if he's up on the rotation, but yeah, I like the Mariners as well in that spot. Again, one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, along with the Cardinals on the other side.
The Braves.
So yeah, that's all I really talked about in MLB today. Again, kind of switching things up instead of going through scores, just kind of painting the playoff picture as we're less than a week out of the MLB playoffs starting.
Sounds good. Then taking it over to the ice here. Only news coming out basically is the Ukrainian Hockey League fired the owner or the GM who was running the league after the poor handling of the Andrei Deslenkin racist gesture situation. They've now moved it to at least 3 games. NHL players are now speaking out, calling that this kid should either be banned for the game for life or have to go out there first shift when they play this team again and get his fucking face just piss pounded in. He should have to face one of those consequences, as what he did was completely unacceptable in the game of hockey. And a lot of players are calling that he should have to face consequences for himself by having to go out there and play and not be suspended. And basically have every other person throughout the whole entire league who thought what he did was disrespectful to basically take him accountable for what he did. And I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it's like the way hockey is where somebody cheap shots a guy. It's like, oh, next time like a brawl breaks out, stuff like that. But it's just like weird that that's acceptable in hockey to where it's like, we're gonna assault this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, instead, oh, here's a suspension, here's a fine, you're banned from the game. No, let's just assault this guy. It's hilarious how like literally the only sport that really allows like, which I'm glad they still have it in the game the way it is. Obviously, it's more PG than it used to be back in like the 80s and 90s, to where, I mean, there's blood on the ice and like almost every game, and shit was, I don't know, maybe a little bit more brutal, but nonetheless, nothing's really changed as far as the game of hockey. So it's just hilarious how that's an option on the table to just, all right, let's just let this guy go and get piss pounded.
That's one of the things that I've appreciated too the most out of that sport is the refs really allow the players to really police the game, because instead of a ref tossing a guy out for doing something, they'll throw him in the box knowing that when he's coming back out there, somebody on the other team is going to police that infraction and it's not going to happen again. Like, hockey's kind of that game where every single game, that moment happens where, boom, the ref either is going to make a call and take control of the game, or he's going to let the players control the game and police the game. There's always one moment where there's a hit, there's a whatever, where the ref either takes it too far or he knows what's about to happen and the team's going to piss pound him. And I always appreciated that, knowing that showing up at a rink because of something that you did 2 years ago to this guy, he remembers that, and you're marked. like, and you know a game that you're playing in when you're marked too, because every chance that they get is fucking piss pound, hitting you, slashing you, doing everything that they can to take you out of the game. And even mentally taking somebody out of the game, that's a win. So, yeah, I wish they let them get some street justice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do there. I hope that
because I know fighting's like less encouraged in the foreign leagues as well. It's more like skill players and stuff. So it's interesting to see what is going to happen. I know Wayne Simmons, former Flyer, spoke out on it, and he's just like, he should literally take a fucking beating for it. Like he said that to the media, like straight out to the media. It's just like, I would like to say so many other things on this, but I'm just going to keep it to you. You should get his ass beat. And it's going to happen one way or another, whether it happens this year, next year, nobody's going to forget that this kid did that. So those moments are the best. But yeah, that's all I had for the NHL.
Sounds good. And then going over to college football here quick to highlight some games happening this weekend. The unranked Wisconsin Badgers host 14 Michigan tomorrow. Wisconsin favored by 2. I don't know why sports bet or the people put these odds together or ride in Wisconsin's dick so much this year, favoring them in all these games when they suck ass. But
we're the home team, right?
Yeah.
So that's 3.5 advantage right there automatically. So they think we're going to win by 1 point.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it's a close game. I mean, Michigan is one of those teams that
they're going to smack us.
Yeah, time of possession, I think, was Michigan is like one of the top teams this year. Who do they play 2 weeks ago? They ran the ball. It was like 89% of the time that game was run plays where they just dominated time of possession and basically didn't let the other team touch the ball. So if Michigan can get to that on the road, I mean, keep the ball out of Mertz's hands, and when he is in his hands, he throws picks. Yeah. Because that's what it's going to come down to. If Michigan can dominate time of possession and get up early, and Badgers are stuck in short clock situations, it's going to force them to go with the air attack, which Mertz hasn't had since his very first game in college. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I don't know how much of it I'm going to watch, if I'm even going to watch it at all, really. But yeah, another game to highlight, number 8 Arkansas at number 2 Georgia. I mean, it's a ranked versus ranked game, but again, Georgia looking as good as they do. Not expecting that one to be close. I think that, yeah, there's 17.5-point favorites on that one.
Arkansas will cover. I don't think they're going to beat Georgia, though. Their defense is really good. One game tonight, though, Iowa at Maryland. I have a feeling Maryland's going to win this one tonight.
They're undefeated, aren't they? Maryland?
No idea. They're not in the top 25. So
no. They're not ranked, but they haven't.
They are 1-0 in conference, 4-0. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they've been one of those teams this year that, I mean, very overshadowed in the Big Ten. But if you can get a win tonight against Iowa, that's huge. Definitely would put them in the ranks if they do that.
There's 4 teams that currently are undefeated in the Big Ten East. Ohio State obviously is not one of them. There is 1 in the West with Iowa. So Iowa's pretty much got the West wrapped up. They'll be playing for a Big Ten championship. It's between them and Purdue right now. We're not dead last, surprisingly. Nebraska is.
Oh, yay. We're better than Nebraska.
But they've played 2 more games than we've played. They're 2-3 and we're 1-2. So we can easily be the worst team.
Yeah, with a loss to Michigan, it'd move them to the worst.
Because the whole other conference, Indiana's the worst at 2-2. Illinois is 1-4 and we're 1-2.
Yikes.
Yep. Rough season.
Then going into what looks like it might be probably the game of the week in college football is number 7 Cincinnati at number 9 Notre Dame. Cincinnati is 2-point favorites on the road here. Notre Dame coming off a piss pounding of the Badgers last week. I'm not sure who Cincinnati played last week, but they're 7, so they've always been right there in the mix, close to the top 10. Yeah, should be a good one.
Cincinnati has played Miami of Ohio, Murray State, Indiana. That's who they played so far.
How the heck are they 7? Well, just based off of last year's ranking, and they've stayed perfect, so they can't.
Last year, they had some pretty good wins last year, except what? Yeah, I don't know how they're 7, to be honest.
I think they came into the year like 10 or 11.
They have one ranked win on the season last year, and that was over UCF. They were 21, and UCF was 24 at the time. All the other ranked teams beat them, including Ohio State 42-0. So yeah, beats me how they're
Yeah,
ranked.
what the heck? That's weird.
But who knows how there's so many things that go into the rankings. So dude, look at this schedule. If Cincinnati wins, they're going to be in the college football playoff. They played Temple, UCF, Navy, Tulane, Tulsa, South Florida, SMU, and East Carolina to finish the year.
So they could go undefeated.
They could go undefeated, and they'll be top 4 college football playoff team if they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, because if they beat Notre Dame, they'll probably move up to 5 or 6, and then if they can stay perfect, all they got to bank on is the team. They got to bank on a team ahead of them to lose one the rest of the year, and they're in.
Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa.
Because Iowa, I believe, plays Penn State next weekend.
And Ohio's
going to settle that. Yep, they do. So that's going to settle that battle right there between 4 and 5. If Iowa loses tonight and then Iowa beats Penn State, there's the spot for Cincy.
Mm-hmm. And Ohio State and Penn State play in a couple weeks as well. So that's another opportunity for Penn State to lose one in the top 5.
I know one team that's going to be dropping out of the top this weekend. Picked against them last weekend for the team to cover the spread. This time I'm going for the dagger. Kansas State is going to upset number 6 Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma did not look good last week.
It's their quarterback, dude. Their whole fucking university doesn't want him to be there.
Yeah.
He's not that good. I mean, don't get me wrong. He was the top quarterback to come out of high school, so he was phenomenal in high school. That's not transferring to college game.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some big shoes to fill behind fucking Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, and who was the other guy that they had? They had one more guy before
Kyler Murray.
So that's 3 Heisman super huge shoes to fill being quarterback for Oklahoma, and he's not putting up a 10th of their numbers. With that high-powered offense in a division where nobody plays defense. It's absurd.
Yeah.
And then I can see Baylor beating Oklahoma State upset.
Yeah, 21-19 in that one.
I think Clemson loses to Boston College as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's an opportunity for a lot of upsets this week.
LSU, I think, is going to beat Auburn. Yeah, there's a lot of upsets on the table. I honestly can see Mississippi State beating Texas A&M as well. Jimbo Fisher. It's so funny. I forgot I was reading this article. The coach that they booted out of Texas A&M for Jimbo Fisher, who was only making like $1.2 million, has the same record through his first 40 games as Jimbo Fisher does, and they're paying Jimbo Fisher over $10 million a year for the same record.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I don't think that they're really what they're supposed to be. Oregon's going to have a tough battle within the conference. Stanford, conference games are always tough to win, especially they're on the road as well. So, yeah, got some pretty big games this weekend.
And the last one to mention here, number 12 Ole Miss on the road at Alabama. Again, when Alabama had their game against Florida, that was really the last opportunity, I think, for a team to dethrone Alabama. Now they're rolling. But again, conference matchup, you never know what can happen there. If it was at Ole Miss, I'd give them more of it. Like, I'd say it'd be a closer game, but Ole Miss at Alabama. I mean, it's a 14.5 point game that they're saying Alabama. I could see it being close to that. I don't think Alabama's going to run away with it, but at the same time, it wouldn't be the first time Alabama completely blew out another ranked team.
Yeah, this is a battle of best offense in the country versus best defense in the country. I see this game coming down to a field goal, and honestly, if Alabama is going to lose, it's going to be to Ole Miss. I think Florida may have done enough damage early on in the year to keep them down enough to where Mississippi might have enough firepower to come in and put them down. They're the best offense in the country by far. They average 55.4 points a game. So they're coming.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely highlight all those games on Monday, see how many upsets happened, and highlight the what the polls are looking like as well. And then lastly here today on our Friday episodes, wrapping up our Feel Good Friday stories. What do you got this week?
So I have going to start with NHL news related to the NHL. Shout out to the Arizona Coyotes as becoming the first NHL team to allow a fully relaxed dress code. Under the current NHL CBA, players are required to wear suit jackets, basically wear jackets, ties, dress pants to all club games and while traveling to and from games unless otherwise specified by head coach or GM. The GM came out and stated that they can wear whatever they want. And so far, nothing but good news, and a whole bunch of stuff is coming out from the NHL. A lot is coming out from franchises who aren't allowing this feat, as big time players in the game are saying this is an unquoted quote from somebody who is pissed. He goes, "I wish there was no dress code for games. I don't mind wearing a suit, but it gets old, I guess. It gets old pretty quick. I think it'd be fun to wear different things to be able to express myself. Similar what to the NBA does or even the NFL a little bit. I just want to wear what makes me happy outside of the rink and even in the rink. But when it comes to games, obviously we have a certain attire we have to meet, and hopefully it's not too much longer that we'll be doing that." So players are wanting to express how they feel. Another guy, unquoted, said, "Our general manager is so old school, I never see this happening. It's ridiculous. Whatever I wear to the rink is not going to affect the way I play. In fact, if I'm not wearing a suit and tie for an hour on a bus and I'm wearing something more comfortable, maybe I'll actually play better." So it's pretty funny. Shots are being fired at the NHL for these rules and GMs. So shout out to the Coyotes for paving the way, letting their players wear whatever they want to. I don't blame them too, especially when you're living in 150-degree heat down there in Arizona. Being able to wear shorts and shirt to the rink.
Yeah, that's awesome. Going into my story for the week, New York Giants legend Eli Manning had his jersey retired last Sunday and was inducted into the Giants Ring of Honor. Eli reflected on his 16 years with the Giants organization, amounting to 2 Super Bowl wins and 4 Pro Bowl selections. I mean, hats off to an amazing career. Him, along with his brothers, the reason why Brady doesn't have 10 plus Super Bowls. So shout out to future Hall of Fame quarterback Eli Manning.
Shout out. And then I also have another one that's pretty cool here. I thought I'd bring this up. Florida high school record once held by current superstar Derrick Henry was broken. Single game rushing record is broken by Caleb Wagner. a player who currently only has one arm, and he broke a single rushing record of 502 yards in a game, and he put up 535 yards, 6 touchdowns, literally carrying his team to a 49-48 win this last Friday. Derrick Henry gave him a shout out and thinks it's completely incredible what this guy's been able to do, especially with one arm, that he's being able to do all this shit. His goal is to be the first offensive player with one arm to play in the NFL, and he's going to keep working and doing everything that he can to make it to the NFL. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of hope for a lot of people who he was born without his left hand because of a condition called amniotic band syndrome. So that is why he doesn't have 2 arms. Or 2 hands. That's impressive. That's impressive. 535 rushing yards, dude, in one game.
That's half a season's worth in one game.
In one game. And to carry your team to a win by 1 point. Like, that's incredible. That's 6 touchdowns, and their field goal kicker made 2 field goals. He's got all their points.
Did they even pass the ball? Like, because if they had any air attack, like, that'd be impressive. Be over 700-800 yards of offense.
Well, he's averaging 409 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns per game is what he's averaging. In 3 games so far, he's got 15 tutties. As a running back.
Jeez.
And he's playing in Florida's top conference. They're 1A. And he's a junior. So he's got 1 more year where he can even break it again. Shout out.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's all I got. Looking at I guess two injury related things that just came on in the NFL within a little bit here. Los Angeles Rams running back Darrell Henderson will play this Sunday against the Cardinals, so that's huge to get him back. I mean, not that Stafford needs any leverage to take the pressure off. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's huge for the Rams.
And then the other being another hit to the Giants. Receivers Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton ruled out for the Saints game. So Danny Dimes is not going to have anybody to throw to this weekend.
Yeah, and then the Washington football team is getting Curtis Samuel back, enabled off the IR. He's able to play Sunday. And the last piece of news that came out also that could add to the Feel Good Friday, Green Bay Packers decide to add a pocket to Aaron Jones's jerseys so that he can play with his dad's ashes inside of him.
That's awesome. That way he doesn't have to worry about losing a necklace.
You just put it in the pocket and zip it shut.
Huh. That's cool.
Well, I mean, you're an NFL player, I'm sure. Whatever the fuck you want legally, they'll make it happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. That's all I got for this week.
Yeah, that's all I got as well. So I'm going to take it home here. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by. We appreciate all the love, support that we continue to get each and every day. If it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't be here, continuously doing what we're doing, striving to make this podcast better for you guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all of our social media platforms located in the description link below. Also, don't forget to check out the merch store. Also, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere and everywhere associated with the platform. And Anchor, you can find our podcasts. Give us the 5-star. Give us the 5-star rating. Help us move up those charts. We will be back after an action-filled weekend of football, and we'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend.